Hey guys, a lot of people ask, what's it going to look like when this cabal of international globalists run the world when they get their way? And I say, just look around. I mean, except for the fact of the mainstream media, who is in their hip pocket, 90% of the information you get disseminates through six mega news corporations. When you filter through that and you look at reality of the world, which is we have rolling hotspots around the world. Pushback in Egypt right now, it's going to spread. It's spread from Tunisia. Now it's going off to other Middle Eastern countries. We've already seen it happen in Europe, and now Ireland's reporting their bailouts have failed, so we'll probably see more there in Europe. And rest assured, if we don't see it today, we will see it tomorrow. And if not tomorrow, then it'll be next week. We're going to see this unrest spread around the world while the mainstream media continues to decry that everything's better, everything's getting better. By throwing the citizens of the world further and further into debt, we can fix the problems caused by the bankers who brought us here in the first place. They're the only ones never asked to pay a dime. They don't even take a pay cut, a bonus cut. They take until the backs of the citizens are broke. And when the citizens push back, then the IMF swoops in, bails out an economy, and throws the citizens even further into debt. This system is an absolute evil, a blight on this earth, and we need it to collapse in order to have any future as human beings. I mean, we're going to end up attacking one another just so we can put food on our table. A lot of people sitting in America hear that and they think, you're crazy, Charlie. That's never going to happen here. Well, look at Egypt. I mean, these people are dying in the streets, and it was all started because they had empty bellies to begin with. Now, our president comes out today talking about a $3.73 trillion budget, a $1.65 trillion deficit this year alone. And none of the problems are addressed. We're not going to, hold responsible the international corporations who have dismantled the manufacturing capacity of this country and shipped our jobs all around the world. In fact, between 1999 and 2008, foreign affiliates of companies that were based in the United States increased their employment by 30%, while at that same time period, employment in those same companies, in those same industries, fell by 8%. So we're dismantling and shipping overseas where labor is cheap. And then we're ended up wondering why we're in this massive deficit spending. We're wondering why we have this massive trade deficit. 32.8% increase in our trade deficit between 2009 and 2010 alone. $497 billion was our trade deficit in 2010. That was a 32% increase over 2009. $273 billion of that was with China alone, which is a 27% increase over 2009. The situation isn't getting fixed by throwing us further into debt. It's kicking the can down the road, but there's absolutely no bubble left to blow up. What are we going to have? A commodities bubble to where it costs you $800 for a loaf of bread? And we're going to call this prosperity? Because on paper, somebody's making a profit somewhere. But in reality, you can't go out and work enough hours in order to put food on your table. Nobody's addressing any of these problems. They're just telling you the same old worn out things. Give the bankers more money, give them more bailouts, they'll fix the problem, Wall Street will be healthy and Main Street will be healthy. But it isn't happening. It isn't happening here. It's not happening in Canada or Mexico, in Europe. It's not happening in the Middle East. And you're going to see more and more and more people who are just absolutely forgot about. They end up becoming non-persons because they fall off an employment roll. They're going to start pushing back. And we're going to see more of a government hard totalitarianism, hard fascism in this country, like you see in other countries around the world. This is coming here. Believe it or not, want to accept it or not, think that I'm talking in fantasy land or not. It doesn't matter. The reality is the numbers don't lie. We're sitting on the edge of another year of almost $2 trillion in deficit spending. We're sitting at a time when our unemployment situation is told that it's 9%, but we don't face the reality that we've shrunk the pool of people who participate in that employment pool. From 64% average down to 58%. It takes our unemployment rate on the U3 from 10 down to 9. We call it prosperity, and 99ers are falling off by the tune of 100,000 people last week. 250,000 a few weeks before that. These people become non-persons. Non-persons will eventually take to the street. Ben Bernanke and the Federal Reserve think that we have no inflation in this country when some basic food commodities have virtually doubled in the last year. But he comes out and says, "Oh, we're only at 1.2%." and the Fed's mandate is to keep an even rate of inflation of around 2%. So he's going to keep pumping out money. Why? Why is he doing this? Is it for the health of the economy? He's not stupid. He knows what's going on. He's doing this to keep the asset value of his buddies on Wall Street inflated, so they can take all they can loot the country before it all comes falling apart. And just like we're seeing in Egypt, Tunisia, we saw already in Greece, we see all these bailouts that these nations, these so-called sovereign nations, must endure. The IMF says you can't even hold elections until you get your bailouts worked out. It's coming here, believe it or not. Stories are attached. That's all I got.